right, Revelation Wellness community and our YouTube followers and friends. Hello. We have another podcast today, a conversation, a forging friendship between myself and Jennifer Taylor Wagner. You guys, she is the author of a new book titled Your Good Body. Come on. I know everyone right now is like, we love that. Your Good Body, embracing a body positive mindset in a perfection focused world. Jennifer, welcome to the Revelation Wellness podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so thrilled to be here.
How has it been with this book? How was it writing this book for you?
It was, oh my word, it was exciting. It was challenging. It caused me to dig so deep into my heart and into my past and into my experiences. And it's just been all the things. It's been all the things. And at this point, I've been working on it. I actually worked on it quietly on my own for a couple of years before anybody other than my husband knew anything about it. I had to write it. I couldn't not. And so at this point, it's been several years in the making, and I am ready. I'm fired up. I'm ready to share it with the world.
It's called a book baby. She's ready to birth it and get it out. I know what that's like. That's interesting. We share the same publisher. So shout out to Tyndale. We love our Tyndale publisher. And I know what that's like, because my first book was the same way. I sat on it for 10 years. I used it in places in community, 10 years. So when it finally came out, I'm like, that actually happened. Okay. So I feel like I'm tracking with you. And I remember those days of waiting for it to come out. But by the time you guys are hearing this, it's out. So if this title of a book is even intriguing to you at all, go and get it. This is right in our lane, Jennifer. This is our people. We know that the pursuit of health and wholeness is not a one and done. We're all detoxing from the diet, fitness world and culture, and we have to stay free. We don't just get free. It's a constant stay free. So this never gets old to us, talking about and hearing other people's stories. So I always love the question, why? So tell me, why did you write this book?
My story is sort of an extreme example of losing weight is not the answer to your body issues.
Come on.
I personally dropped a massive amount of weight, 150 pounds. And here I found myself half my size and shockingly still unhappy with my body. And to give you some backstory on that, I'm a girl who was never at peace with her body. I can remember all the way back in kindergarten when a little boy, well-meaning, he meant no harm, drew attention to my cheeks, calling them chipmunk cheeks. And I automatically assumed he's calling me chubby, and that I don't think that's okay. And that was the first sting of not being at peace with my body. But that's only the very beginning. So as I was growing a little older and walking through these formative years, first grade, second grade, fifth grade, ninth grade, all through these formative years, I'm walking through and I'm realizing, yes, I am living in a body that's actually larger than the majority of the bodies around me. And everyone is relentlessly reminding me that I'm taking up too much physical space.
Come on.
I need to make myself smaller. I need to lose the weight. And so by the time I graduate high school at 336 pounds, I believe at that point that there is something innately wrong with me because I can't lose this weight that the whole world is telling me I need to lose. And so by that point, I've walked through so much. I am tired on the outside and broken on the inside, right? And I am so not at peace with my body. So then when I did eventually drop all that weight and found myself still not at peace with my body, even at half my size, I'm like, wow, I think I've missed a gigantic piece of the wellness puzzle. I think it must be more than just about fitting my body into a mold or making it as small as I possibly can. And so, yeah, that's a very actually short version compared to what the actual story is.
So what do you do with that question? Okay, I think I've missed something. What next? What took you, where was your faith even a part of your life at that point? Would you say you were a Christian? So, tell us a little bit more of like, I'm missing something and how the integration came.
It's interesting because yes, I have been a Christian for a very long time, love the Lord with my whole heart and soul.
Mm-hmm.
I I feel like because of the bullying and the relentless messages that my body's not good enough, it's like I couldn't receive his truth very readily about my body. So I would hear things like, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. You were crafted inside your
Mm-hmm.
mother's womb by God. These
Mm.
amazing truths that it took a little while for me to digest those things. But I think about in Ephesians chapter 3, specifically in the Message translation, I love how it's worded because it talks about how when God is working and he's taking us on this journey, he does it not by pushing us around, but he
Yeah.
works through his spirit deeply and gently by his spirit working through us. And so I look back at my journey, even when I very first years ago started becoming free in this area. And I was fired up at that time. I was like, I'm free, I'm free. And now I'm like, girl, you were not even free back then. Like now you're free. You're more free than you were back then. And so it's this journey that I've gone on with the Lord. And it's like, he saw all of it. Like he was there through
Yes.
all of it. And
Yes.
he was there with the little boy in
Yeah.
kindergarten. And he was there when I walked
Yes.
through high school with my head down. And he was there every time I got on the
Yes.
scale and got off the scale and thought, oh man, still not good enough. Oh man, still not good enough. He was there when I started to see this body is good. It's like all through it, I can just see how he's
Yeah.
walked with me. But he
Yeah.
knows us so deeply. Oh, he knows us so deeply and he loves us so much and he's so good that he's like, I'm not going to just zap this. I'm going to walk with you. I'm going to
Yes.
talk with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to bring you through this journey because
Mm-hmm.
I'm so committed to your freedom.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Man, everyone got teary eyes. We know that this is true. This is the
Yeah.
deepest part of his personal intimacy of wanting to be with us, more than
Yeah.
wanting to help you count some calories and get some that scripture of how we are, don't you know that your body is a temple? I'm like, I think people know that. I think they know it. And it's not helping to just keep shoving the knowledge on them. The Lord wants to be with them in their temple, and the temple will work itself out. Like we're put so much pressure on what we see in that temple. So my goodness, such an empowering story. So tell me, what then is a good body to you?
I feel like for me, I've walked through so much feeling like it's just not good enough. And even after losing that weight, I was still trying to lose more. And my body was like, no, Jennifer, we're not losing 1 more pound. You can do all the things, but we're just right here. 150 pounds lost is like, we're going to stay right here. And so I was trying and trying to lose more and more and more weight only to shrink my body for the sole purpose of shrinking my body. And when I realized that no matter what I changed, it wasn't good enough. I was like, well, I'm thinking like, what is good enough? When
Yeah.
will this all be good enough? And when I
Yeah.
realized how saturated my mind and heart were with negative thoughts about my body,
Wow.
I'm like, wow, so this doesn't just go away. Like I thought making myself smaller would fix that. And I would no longer have this terrible self inner critic. But if that doesn't fix it, what is going to be good enough for my body?
Right. Come
When
on.
is my body good enough? Like what is the goal weight or the goal size or like what is it? And I realized like I needed to totally flip that on its head so that I was seeing wellness and health for what they are and not tying them together with the size and shape
Come
and
on.
appearance of my body. It's so much deeper than that. So I got to this point where I was like, well, wait a minute. If it's never going to be good enough, I'm looking at this wrong. Because I don't think we're supposed to go through life. And I remember thinking years ago, I was like, I don't want to live my entire life feeling this way about my body.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I had to change that narrative,
Yeah.
that dialogue in my mind and heart to see what is right now is good. Like not when I lose the weight or not when I this or that, because I'm never going to completely measure up physically because once I do, there's another goal,
That's right.
And so totally flipping the script on that dialogue in my mind and how I was approaching health and wellness as a whole, you know, and untying that from what we hear in diet culture.
So can you tell what was that journey for you? What were the beginning things of it? Sounded like you realized these are thoughts. Like I've got to change my narrative. What did you do? What kind of journey did the Lord take you on? Now, I know I asked this question because I know our entire audience is saying, tell me what she did. But as before she says this, I want to remind everyone, her journey is not going to be your journey, but the thread, the golden thread, what will be in everyone's journey is the Lord wants to be with you. He wants to be with you in the journey. And where, you know, maybe if she says, I started journaling, or I don't know, whatever, I started walking and talking with the Lord, whatever it is, try not to hear that as like, okay, then I'm going to start doing that today. Take the narrative of what does the Lord want to do with me and these accusations to be with me so I can change my mindset and my narrative. So tell us what he did with you, because it inspires, your testimony inspires something for us to be done in us.
Yes, I think that I actually, when people, the first thing I usually say is to start to take notice of your own inner dialogue. That's right. Like the first step is notice what are these, because especially if you're someone who has battled this thing for a really long time, or if you were bullied like I was, these messages, even if you haven't, there's still so many messages that are just going to pop into your mind and heart about your body not being good enough. And so we can't necessarily just stop the thoughts. We can't just say, okay, I'm going to love my body, I'm going to be free. Boom. Oh, look at that. The thoughts are gone. That's not the way it works.
It's a war.
But we can take every thought captive. And so that was kind of my starting places. Okay, I'm going to see what's going on. And I would encourage you, if you're looking at this inner dialogue on your own and noticing your own inner dialogue, do it without judgment. Don't judge yourself. Just notice it without judgment and offer yourself compassion. Validate your story. What have you walked through in this body? You know, what has shaped your beliefs about your body, and just kind of evaluate those things without judgment. Because we think if we just hate ourselves into submission and white knuckle it, that's going to be the answer. No, we're going to evaluate where we are, validate our struggle, and begin to see how we can notice those negative thoughts when they pop into our brain and sort of swap them with more positive ones. And so for me, I did have to sort of write down some positive statements, some affirmations, so that I was equipped when the thoughts popped into my mind and heart. So if I walk up, if I'm getting ready to get in the shower and I glance in the mirror and I have one of those thoughts, I have something to sort of combat that and to sort of rewrite that narrative, because it's going to take time to rewrite it. But so that's one of the initial things that I did. And I literally, when I was very beginning this body journey, the way I see my body, that part of the journey, I remember having no idea how to do this. It's like, I realized, wow, I see myself in a really negative light. I need to put some work into this. But I have no idea how. And honestly, I'm telling you the honest truth, I found myself in the love chapter of the Bible, 1 Corinthians chapter 13. And I know we apply that to how we love others, obviously. But I started saying, wow, my love for myself is so low right now. And it's to the point where, like, I don't feel like I'm even loving others very well, because I can't see past these negative. And I remember thinking, how could I be a blessing? How much more of a blessing could I be to the people around me if my mind and heart weren't so consumed with thoughts that were negative about myself? It would free up this space to then go out and live the message of Christ, and go out and do the things for Christ, and advance the kingdom, and make disciples, and love people, encourage, inspire, if my mind wasn't so consumed. So anyway, getting back to that question. I looked at that love chapter and I said, okay, I'm just going to start right there. Okay, so it says love is patient. So how can I be more patient with myself in this journey? How can I extend that to myself? Love is kind. Am I being kind toward myself in this? Am I speaking kind words? How can I be a little bit more kind? And so just a very blanketed thing, but I went through the whole entire chapter, like not comparing myself with other people, all of these things. And I just sort of started to apply those things to my body journey, not just what I ate and what exercise I did and all those rigid, not the rigid stuff, like the stuff that's like inside my mind and heart. How can I apply this to my whole body journey? If that makes
So
sense.
good. That's so good. Yes, that's huge. I mean, did you, I like when you said, I've made those affirmations, I made those statements. Did you memorize them? Did you write them down? Did you, and it didn't sound like you wrote them down, but, um, did you memorize them? Like I've known people that put it on the mirror or whatever, but like, I think sometimes why I ask this question is because I think we know what to do and then we do the work of, I'm going to write it down, but then the battle comes and then our brains are prone to the easy path. It's a fight to have to go, oh, I've got to remember that verse. What was that verse? I got to say that verse. Like, is there anything you did to help yourself to remember? Because it's one thing to be aware, right? I agree with you. We can't change what we're not aware of. But how do you trigger yourself to remember now's the time, pick up the weapon and fight?
Yes, I did write them, but I didn't stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you've got to be so committed to wanting to be free in this area,
Come on,
because
that's
then
right.
you evaluate all these areas of your life and how they're contributing, who you're following on social media, what's in front of your eyes, like what messages are you taking, what are the effects of diet culture that are still trickling in that are actually negatively affecting your body image.
So good.
So it's like evaluating everything around you.
Yeah.
If you don't have that list by you, because I wrote mine down, but
That's
I don't know even what happened. I didn't even write it in a journal. I just jotted them down.
Right.
And
Right.
you're right. You can't stop there. And it's not just kind of a going through the motions thing. You've got to get really committed to truly being, and I love how you say staying free.
Yeah.
In this area, because I know for me, as far as I wrote a book on the subject. I still have my days.
Come on.
I still have to commit
That's
to
right.
being free. I still have to walk it out. I still have the days where I walk up to the mirror and it's not easy to be kind. I still have those moments and I'm still walking toward it. But that's the thing about staying free that I love, because it's an effort. Like this is a whole thing and it's important. And I'm so committed though to being free. So when I walk up, when I see myself in the mirror and I have a negative thought, and what I used to do was, oh my word, what diet can I go on?
Yeah. Right.
Where I
Today's
used to
the
do
day.
that,
Yeah.
today's the day to start over, all those things. Where I used to do that, I'm allowing my thoughts to go down a different path now. Where do I want to be? Do I want to be right back in bondage to diet culture? Or do I want to go toward freedom? And do I want to learn to believe the truth so deeply that it comes more naturally over time? So it's being radically decisive that I am committed to this, to getting and staying free in this area. And wherever you are, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, you may be in the place where you're like, Jennifer, I hear you. Yeah. Love your body, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't understand. I can't for this. I'm nowhere close to that. Okay. What about practicing a little, like some body confidence or even starting with some neutrality? Like, where can you start today to walk toward that freedom? Wherever you are is amazing, because once you evaluate where you are and you become committed to being and staying free, then you can walk toward it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I could just say, I was talking a little bit with Jennifer about her book, so good in that we kind of, a future working title book I have has the word like good body in it. It seems like this is a thing. Good body. It's good. Like everyone, we can't say it enough. Say it in all the voices. People say amen. We have good bodies. Amen. But that there's a reason, like there's the fact, like we feel such shame because I know better. I should do better. And that's not working. But just to remind people, as you started with your story, just that little start of bullying, or not bullying, but an innocent thing is said at 5 years old, and it hit a vulnerable spot in you, the spot of you that needed Jesus. And Jesus was there because he knew, I'm going to come for this. I'm rescuing this. But all the things we've walked through, whether it was someone said something that landed in a way that we felt according to our worldview or paradigm, or Satan himself, who wants to convince us that everything is wrong. But then, I mean, to bullying, to Small acts of little t traumas. To be alive is to suffer and be scathed and to be cut and to be either death by 1,000 paper cuts is the plan of the enemy, or a one gunshot to the chest of a moment in time. And that affects us and it changes. So I guess I say that to have empathy for everyone. What Jennifer, I'm hearing in her story, she had radical empathy for herself and then a commitment to go, I am not broken and I'm changing this narrative in all directions, socially, mentally, physically. I'm changing in social media. I'm cleaning house to get in that directive of the narrative of God came to redeem it all. I need redemption in all parts of who I am, that there's nothing you can't walk through. So I know, I think the enemy tries to tell us, that's good for you, Jennifer, but you don't understand. I'm stuck. And I love to tell people, it's not your fault. You're not, you just have more kindness towards yourself and a heart towards the Lord to know that he can take that and make all things new. And it's a bit by bit, little by little process. And I think, that's probably, to me, I'm 50 years old, Jennifer, and my body is nothing like it was when I was 21. Let me just tell you, it's a good body. It's good for 50, doing me well, but it's not what it was. And the enemy just comes to tell us, you've lost it. It's getting worse. The days ahead look darker. And what is that narrative? So I just love that you're giving these practical, like all in. You got to be all in on all sides. What does it look like for you in community with other people, or when you have people around you who maybe don't get it? What have you done to kind of fortify your walk in freedom?
With people around me, this is something that comes up a lot in conversation with just everyone that I know, because this is such a huge thing for me. And it always has been a huge thing for me. And I think really it does go back to kind of what we just talked about a second ago with validating where people are. So friends of mine or people will come to me and they'll express things that they walk through in this area, and it's so challenging. And I'll immediately, I'll relate. Most of the time I'll get it. It's like, I've walked through that. I totally get it. And so I try to just be committed to my own freedom so that I can be an example, but also validate where someone is specifically in their journey, because I really truly feel like even just the baby steps in the right direction can be gigantic. So if my friend, whom I love and care deeply so much about, comes and is like, Jennifer, I don't know, went to the doctor today, stepped on the scale, and I'm sad about it, whatever it might be. I just want to cry and curl up in a ball with them, because I know that feeling, but also I want to validate why they're feeling that way. And then I'm going to challenge them to dig deeper as to what it is. What is it? Journal about it, talk about it. What is it that made you feel that way, so that you can dig a little deeper. But I just think that being committed to my own freedom and validating where people are, it creates baby steps in the right direction, or huge leaps in the right direction sometimes.
Totally. In your book, you talk about some guiding principles for a health journey: move your body, fuel your body, and love your body. Can you talk about some of your paradigm and narrative around those three: move your body, fuel your body, and love your body?
Yes, so over the years in my own wellness journey, I've picked up on some, healthier habits and developed an absolute love for moving my body and all of these things. Really, what I go into detail about with those three things is just perspective, and getting and totally shifting our mindset when it comes to what we eat or exercise and all things, because it's very, very easy to slip right back into diet culture when you're thinking about what foods do we eat or what exercise or what are those. So it's really just reframing and taking on a different perspective on those three. But those are the three main areas that I have noticed needed the most reframing for in my wellness journey. So moving our body, no more exercising for punishment. This,
Come on.
you That's can preach to us about this.
Let's go. All aboard.
No more exercising because of what we ate yesterday or what we're going to eat tomorrow, or it's not a punishment, but how can I just move my body today in a way that I enjoy? Maybe today it's that knockdown, drag out, sweaty, heart rate through the roof workout today. Maybe tomorrow it's I just need to go for a walk. Like
Walk.
I need the fresh air or
Yeah.
whatever it might be. But it's like, how can I just move my body and get my blood flowing? It's like, I'm talking to the expert already. So I feel like, Alisa, you could just take the reins.
No, are you kidding? Nothing makes a mama proud when she hears children. Yes. Speak.
This is why I love so much what you're doing, because it's like such a different perspective
Mm.
on moving our bodies. And I feel like I spent so long just doing what I thought I had to, that wasn't enjoyable and therefore not sustainable either.
That's right.
And so now it's like so fun and so freeing and so awesome to journey through, moving my body in ways that I actually enjoy and love.
And being curious about it too. Like there's things we go, oh, I'm not good at dancing. Who cares? Like just move. It's just movement. Somehow we categorize things and then made scoring points in each category of how great we've turned everything into a competition in a game. It's not even fun anymore. I mean, that goes for children's sports too. It's like, can we just play to play? Why? Now we got clubs and leagues and prizes and all that. I'm like, oh my God. And scholarships. It's like, what happened?
It's like pressure.
It's
like added pressure. It's like you see someone, who loves to run, they go for a run, then you think you have to run. If you hate running, you don't have to run. There's a million other things you can do that you would enjoy a lot more than running if you don't like running,
Amen.
It's that added pressure that we put on ourselves. It just it's actually not really productive for us.
Totally. And it actually is very, just on a side note, like can be so detrimental and harmful to your nervous system, your hormones, your endocrine system. Like we're chemically blowing up on the inside, even though we look maybe, lost an inch on the waistline. It's like the inside, it's just, it's driving and performing, and it can only go so long. It can't sustain.
Yes. Oh, that is golden wisdom right there. That is amazing. And then like with fueling our bodies, like it's just, again, that totally different perspective and getting away from being rigid and, restricting a whole bunch of things or taking entire food groups completely out. And instead of those things, it's like looking at how can I nourish, getting curious about the signals that our bodies send to us for hunger, thirst, rest, whatever it might be. Getting, we sort of lose that a little bit when we get submersed in dieting, because we don't listen to our bodies. We follow the rules and regulations and the plan and and so getting back to this, getting curious, what's my body telling me it needs, or what foods sit really well on my stomach or make me feel energized, what do I not feel so great after I eat, or in what quantities, or and then honoring our hunger, eating when we're hungry, honoring our fullness, stopping when we're full, learning how to eat for satisfaction and enjoyment as well, and just nourishing these good bodies that we have, but not at all from a standpoint of I need to just eat as little as I can, or do whatever that I can to make my body as small as it can possibly be. So it's a complete mindset shift for those of us who have been in a dieting cycle for years and years and years. But again, it's just totally flipping the perspective on how we even approach health and wellness.
From someone who, I'm looking at the two of us and I go, oh, our stories are similar but different. You went kind of more into the neglect part of your body, right? Distanced yourself from your body, 336 pounds later. Okay, I don't have to live this way. I went the obsessed pattern because I had a mom who kind of went your road. I'm like, oh, I'm not doing that. So I went hardcore. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to take care of it. But we both live in the same world of abundance of food temptations, sugar, like the things that we know aren't going to be great for us, aren't going to be nourishing and kind to our body. How do you stay free in a world of choices like that? Because there's so many choices, so many things available to you. And this is often the question. I don't know if there's ever really an answer, but when people's like, how do I know that it wouldn't be kind for me to have the cookie or like go ahead and have the thing, and that maybe I'm just giving myself permission to have it because that's kind. You know what I mean? Like people go, how do I know the difference between my version of kind and what the Lord would want for kind? I'm just wondering if you have any advice there.
That is such a great question. I think that it falls kind of into this, the rhythms that we go. And I really believe that finding that freedom with food while also honoring your health is kind of a journey. So I do think that personally, I had to give myself permission to eat and enjoy food. I had to go through
Yeah.
this little spurt of time where it's like, okay, Jennifer, it's okay. You can go eat. You can go to the kitchen and you can say what sounds good to me right now and you can enjoy it. And so when I pulled away from overly restricting all the time,
Yes.
then I got to this place where I was like, okay, I'm feeling really attuned to my body. And now I'm wanting whatever it might be that's deemed
Yeah.
healthy, you know, like
Yeah.
it's like I want a salad for lunch today, or I want this smoothie with power greens in it, or whatever. Like I want, but not only those things, but I think it really is like a journey. And I think that the more we get away from restricted, because a lot of times a lot of people will say, I want to give myself permission to enjoy food, but I'm afraid if I do that, I'll be out of
Yep.
control.
Yep. Yep.
And for me, I'll just speak for myself. Whenever I have felt out of control around food, it's because I have restricted that food for a long period of time. So then I
Yeah.
restrict it for a long period of time. Well, what's going to happen when you finally give yourself that food?
Yep.
If you haven't eaten all day long and
Yeah.
then you go for Mexican and they
Yeah.
put the chips and salsa in front of you and
Yeah.
you're starving
Yeah.
and you haven't eaten all day long, what's going to happen?
You're gonna eat the
You
whole
are,
bowl and order a
yeah,
second.
that's right. You're
That's what
probably
I
not
do.
going to feel great when you leave,
Yeah.
but naturally we've restricted for so long. So our
Yeah.
body's like, I can't get this in me fast enough. And it's very hard at that point then
Yeah.
to slow down
Yeah.
and say, when do I feel like I've enjoyed enough of these or whatever? It's
Yeah.
very hard at that point. So I do feel like giving ourselves permission to eat and enjoy food, and then getting really curious about the food choices, like tuning into the how those things actually make us feel and all those things. Because in my experience, my body has craved the things that nourish it well. It
Yes, it's
also
true.
craves other things as
You
well.
can teach it. Yeah, absolutely. Can reset it to crave things that you never thought you would crave, but it's not going to be presto changeo. You actually
Right.
begin to do it. It's
Yeah.
a learned
And
habit craving. Mm-hmm.
yes, sorry. Yeah, and it can be a little scary if you are someone who's coming out of the dieting mentality and you're
Right.
like, I really want food freedom and wellness in a way that's not diety. It can be scary because you
Uh-huh.
don't have like all of these, you can't like look back over your plan for the day and see how you did following the plan. You have to
Good.
get in tune to your body
Yeah.
and you have to see, how do I feel? How do I feel when I go to bed too full?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Mm-hmm.
when I go to bed
Mm-hmm.
starving, or,
Mm-hmm.
like, how do I feel like with these things? But so if you're wanting to embark on that and you're wanting to walk toward like food freedom and that kind of thing, then you got to give yourself the time and the grace to kind of feel your way through that and sit with the uncomfortableness for a little bit before you can get really in tune and start approaching health and wellness in that way.
Can I ask though, for the person who's 336 pounds right now or whatever, and because you went, got real restrictive and got down to the 150. So what would food look like? Go back to Jennifer 336,
Yeah.
knowing what you know now,
Yeah.
because you haven't lived through that. I mean, I'm sure everyone here, if you really weight has just like been an issue constantly, you've gone through some times of restriction and it just you haven't even lost 20 pounds or 50 pounds or what, if anything, you just keep turning to food and the weight keeps coming on and on and on.
Yeah.
What does that look like for the 336 person who hasn't lost 150 pounds, that they are going to, because part for them might feel freedom, and I'm saying this loosely, might be, I got to take account of some things.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think, and so for me, it actually was a slow, long process.
Okay.
And for me, I needed guidance and I needed to understand how certain foods and certain quantities affected me. And that took time and guidance and all of those things. But you have to be careful because you don't want to slip right into a
Diet
some kind of
culture,
diet
right.
program.
Mm-hmm,
So,
mm-hmm.
so,
It's good.
but what I will say is that for me, I've always said, and you have to keep in mind, I lost this massive amount of weight years ago. And so I've come a long way since then and things have changed, but I've always said that the majority of long-term um, progress has come from small, doable
Yeah.
changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yep.
where I might have a turkey sandwich for lunch, at the time I might put some grapes with it instead of chips, and that was my little swap. Or like
Mm-hmm.
just little changes. Or like I
Mm-hmm.
remember the first like time I
Mm-hmm.
went for a walk specifically for exercise, and
Mm-hmm.
I could barely walk to the end of the street and back.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I got those sneakers on and I
Yeah.
did
That's
that
right.
thing that I could have just looked at that and been like, this is small. It's not going to make any difference in the world.
That's
But
right.
just
Yeah.
moving my body, I was like,
Right.
wow, this feels really good. So that is probably the one nugget that I can give is the most progress I've had in nourishing this body and seeing long-term progress in this area is small, doable, changes.
Absolutely. They remind me of those of you who listen to our podcast. We did a podcast a while back, and it's her name's escaping me, but she works with the James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. Right? Isn't that the small little habits?
Yeah.
And that just those little tiny. I did 3 jumping jacks today. Yeah, I did
Yes.
3 like small, sustainable, with a celebration mindset of what's working, what's going right, and not what's going wrong. Are sustainable and can be built upon. So I think my heart and mind go out to you who are, like, I have a lot of weight to lose, and you are surrounded and having to unindoctrinate yourself from the images of fast or better, strong. Look at how, I mean, I get texts, and I don't even know why the heck I get texts from places offering me, 40 pounds in 2 weeks, like weight loss, 40 pounds. First of all, how'd you get my number? And these things are still out there, and they prey and creep on us to say, well, wait, maybe that's possible. That'll be a good jump start. But what it is like a jump into handcuffs, like you're jumping into bondage rather than, slowly creeping your way in. So our hearts go out to you as you're like, it's a slow and steady road. And that's why Revelation Wellness Community, Jennifer, is going to be a great cheerleader for you to say, keep going. Where you look back 10 years from now and you take those small little steps, you're completely transformed, and you walked with Christ for 10 years. I know him as a God of distance and endurance and time more than the short sprint. All right, good. Here's your medal. See you later. Like, he's going for longevity with you, and we're in for that too. I know, Jennifer, you would say the same thing.
100%.
Right?
Yes.
So empowering. Okay. Well, so I had all these questions, and this is what they do. They give me questions. Sorry, Lindy, our production notes. And I'm like, okay, great. That's great. But then I meet people, I'm like, it just goes into a whole place. So here's the deal, y'all. I mean, these questions that I didn't get to are based off this book. So if you even enjoyed part of this conversation today, which I thoroughly did, you're going to go get this book, Your Good Body, Embracing a Body Positive Mindset and a Perfection Focused World. Yeah, everyone, that is a book. And everyone, just because Jennifer wrote the book, go write another book about it. You have so many people say, well, it's been written. No, write it. The voices must come in one accord, because the world definitely is not getting quieter about their definition of fitness.
Yes.
So, Jennifer, before you go, actually, first of all, you can get her book on Amazon, you guys. You can also go to her website, jennifertaylorwagner.com. And she's got like a diet detox there, which is kind of this a program, a little like a freebie, right? Like step into some teaching with you about breaking free of that diet mindset. So that sounds awesome. Yeah. And go get the book. Make a stink about this book. We need to make a noise on the front of this year. Yes. Now, I get to ask you 3 fun questions. You ready? You may know them. Favorite way to move your body?
Oh man, but I have 2 favorites. And
okay, that's fine.
Opposite ends of the spectrum.
I love that.
I am a group fitness person. So I love
Hey, you're actually the first person to say that in a really, really, really long time. That's good.
I am obsessed with it. I'm actually certified to teach 2 fitness classes.
What kind?
It's called, they're Les Mills classes, Body Pump and Body Combat.
Yeah.
So strength and then like martial arts type.
Yes.
So I love those. So I do them in my garage right now though, because we don't have a gym that's offering any of that. So that's okay. So I really love that, but I love a good, really intense workout. I honestly do. but I also love walking. Walking is like every single
Yeah.
day, rain or shine, like walking is like everything to me. I think the walking has a lot to do with just being outside, the fresh
Yes.
air, and
Green
just like
science. Yep.
that like just that steady rhythm. It just feels gentle
Yes.
and it feels really
Yes.
good. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree with that too. We're kindred that way. I love a good intense right now. I though speaking of just being in tune with your body, for I'm in this season, I felt like the Lord's like the next 30 days you're just going low moderate intensity, nothing high,
Yeah.
nothing anabolic, nothing explosive, nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, we'll do that. And
Yes.
so it's been good to just kind of enjoy movement for movement's sake, a little bit of heart rate coming up. So walking has been something I'm totally loving too. So
Yes.
I love that. Okay. Coffee, tea, or kombucha? What's your go-to?
Definitely coffee.
Oh,
I
you're a
drink a lot of
coffee girl.
tea. I have tea
Okay.
right now. I drink a
Okay.
lot of tea, but coffee is like my non-negotiable. Like every
Yeah.
day I do drink my coffee.
Okay. So then how are you with your like staying drinking water?
I have a constant battle with water. It's
Girl,
like I try and try.
join the club. It's so like, why is this simple thing so hard to do?
I am welcoming every tip. Just
Mhm.
find yourselves in my DMs and tell me your water drinking
I'll
tips
give you a water
because
drinking tip. I
okay,
just got
tell
a new
me.
one. It's a new one.
Okay. Okay.
Well, I've really felt like this call, like, I want to pray more. I want to be a prayerful person. Like, I want to storm heaven every day. I've got a mouth, I've got scripture. Let's pray more.
Yeah.
So I want to do that. But then I want to drink more water. I thought, you know what? I'll merge the two. So I'm praying more. Every time I drink water, I'm saying a prayer. Or if I'm about to pray, I drink
Yes.
water. So I kind of put the
Yeah.
two together. And it can be simple things of like, which is really when you take a drink of water, you have to shut your mouth can't be busy doing anything else. It's
That's
that
true.
cooling for you. And I think it's just this moment that like I'll think about, I'm going to pray for, my brother, and I'll just lift up my brother to the
Yeah.
Lord. And then the next thing, just a thought comes. And so I don't
Oh,
know.
I'm gonna do that.
I have found that fun because I think my prayer life has been ignited by it, and I'm drinking more water. So there you
I'm
go.
gonna do that. I'm totally gonna do that.
All right. Let me know how it goes.
Okay.
And now, final question, the big one. Favorite pair of workout leggings, pants? Like what's your brand?
My brand is a splurge brand.
That's fine. No shame in the splurge because quality matters.
I'm a Lululemon girl.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I wear the ones I got literally years ago. They have
Right.
lasted
That's
so
what I'm
long.
saying.
And
Quality.
I've honestly, I've tried so many. I still have a lot of loose skin on my legs from the weight loss.
Okay.
So I need really strong compression without them
Compression.
falling down.
Yeah.
So I have these ones that I got. I have like 3 pairs that I had gotten from a long time ago. And I just recycle those 3
Yeah.
pairs over and over and over. And they've lasted and lasted and lasted and
That's the
lasted.
deal.
So
That's the deal.
yeah, that's
And
the ones.
there's okay, there is a brand. I shared this on some other podcasts. There's a brand on Amazon that I have friends and I bought a pair, and I do think they're pretty darn close. And their
Okay.
compression is called CRZ Yoga. CRZ Yoga.
I've heard of that. Okay.
And that's like $25. They're pretty, and I've bought a pair. Now they don't fit me exactly the same because they're extra small still, or they're whatever. My size just a little different than how it fits in Lulu, but the quality is darn good. So for $25, and maybe you can get a fun print or whatever, but try it out.
Okay, I'm trying that because I've heard of it, and if you're telling me that it's pretty close,
I'm telling you, I tried it out, and my friend Angela is convinced. She's like, that's where Lululemon gets their stuff, and she does not want to be taken. So
I'm trying it. I can't wait.
All right, you guys. Jennifer, it is a pure joy to be with you, meet you, and I'm sure that the Lord has great things for you in store. So keep us posted on what he does next, and come let us know how we can share it through all the places.
I certainly will. Thank you so much for having me today.
You're so welcome.
Thanks for watching, and remember, this video was brought to you by Revelation Wellness Instructor Training Program. Do you love Jesus and have a passion for fitness and wellness? Or maybe you're tired of the roller coaster of obsessing over and neglecting your body, and you know there has to be more to fitness. Let us equip you to lead others to health and wholeness rooted in Jesus Christ through our faith-based fitness instructor training program. Go to our website to learn more and listen to testimonies of people just like you who are bringing hope and healing to their communities as fitness teacher gospel preachers. Click the link in the description of this video and download a packet to get your journey to health and wholeness through Christ started today.